Well, Kumu Kamaka, mahalo for being here today. First, I just want to say I really appreciate you taking the time and energy. And I know you get plenty of stuff to do. I know you're busy. I know a lot of people pulling in all different directions. So I really want to say mahalo for your time. And I loved your voice. You have a beautiful singing voice. So we enjoyed all the festivities and all the shows and just the expression of our culture, to the community. And so big mahalo for you to being part of that.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Can you just do a little introduction of yourself, who you are and so forth?
Well, my name is Kamaka Kūkona. I'm a Kumu Hula here on the island of Maui. I've been teaching hula for about 21, almost 22 years now. And our Hālau Hanu Lehua, actively participates in the community events and as well as being part of this property weekly. And our student base consists of keiki from the ages of 3 as the youngest, and our eldest kupuna is 92 right now.
That's awesome, and I think I heard that last night over at the
in the bar, yeah.
And I think that's so important to see the legacy, and longevity of hula too within the generation.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have heard about you, but how did hula become part of your life?
Well, I was born into hula, and one of the stories that my mom would share with very pridefully is that she was a hula dancer, and she danced all 9 months of her pregnancy. So she said, whatever my child, whatever I have is probably going to end up being a hula dancer, because the rolling and the rumbling in her pool was constant. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I ended up being born and just immersed in everything that my auntie and my grandma and my mom did. They were entertainers, they were hula dancers, they were performers. And essentially I became a product of my environment. And hula has ever since been a part of who I am.
Do you remember your first hula that you learned?
I think my very first hula that I learned when I was about maybe 5 or 4 was taught to me by a kumu named Kupuna Alexa Vaught. And she was teaching in the public school system, actually. And we learned a mele entitled Na'ali'i Puolani. And that was my first hula, yeah.
I remember my first hula that I was taught from my ohana was Boy from Lapohoi.
Oh yeah, that's
a guarantee.
That's a guarantee, yeah.
But I remember one time I had to dance it for Auntie Irmgard.
Oh wow.
She was there in the crowd, and my mom was like, "Hey, it's time." And I was like, "Oh." She's like, "Auntie's right there. She's watching." But but I think a lot of us growing up around hula, we have those little moments. Where, we just, you got to dance.
Yeah.
Auntie said dance, or mom says dance. Get out.
Yeah. Actually, I think Ulupalakua might have been the first hula. But yeah, the mele that sticks out was that mele that Kupuna Vaught taught us. But yeah, I think Ulupalakua might have been the first hula.
Which is another popular. We all, as young boys, always get into. Speaking of hula, you've been teaching hula for 21 years.
21 years, yeah.
What has that been like for you as an individual, as a kumu, seeing your haumana go through this process of bringing hula into their life?
Well, what it does, number one for me, it doesn't necessarily dictate, but it expresses my commitment to my lāhui. I use hula. Everybody can be Hawaiian, but hula has actively made me accountable for being Hawaiian. And that's my contribution. And so when these students come to learn hula, they know that they're going to get not just hula, because when you are teaching the dance, you're teaching the language too, or you should be able to, and the culture. And the students that absorb that, you find that they stick it out for the long run. And thus is what you saw last night. Well, that's what ends up happening as a product of what I do. It's in the presentation at the end of the day that we have something to, I don't know how you would say, that's like the proof is in the pudding, And then performances such as last night kind of showcase what these people do and what our students, our haumana, do year round, week in, week out, as a lifestyle.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned over the weekend, being part of seeing you over at the Leo Ha'i contest, with Auntie Hulu, and seeing last night with a dance of Hula's the heartbeat. What I've learned too about yourself is that you are multifaceted. You got the composing, you're singing and everything, and which I think is so very I want to kind of say very, very impressive for me, because it's amazing to see how you can not only teach hula, be a kumu hula, but you can also be a composer. You can also sing and express, as you mentioned, this is your contribution to the lāhui. By the way, where did the composing of music come from, and your interest in singing and the vocal?
That they're kind of. I would like to say that being, a student that was accepted into Kamehameha from the 7th grade. I was one of, I'd say, 4 lucky students that got in to Kapalama when I was a 6th grader from Wailuku. 4 of us got into Kamehameha, and it kind of changed my life. I don't think that I would be where I am had I not been taken, accepted, and just let my wings spread on Oahu at Kapalama. That really helped shape my hula, my music, and my olelo, because all of those teachers in my formative years, they're the ones that shaped who I became. Nice. So whatever I was born into was at that point was now being nurtured by all of these kumu that I had just absolutely falling in love with at Kamehameha. And singing and hula then took another phase and another chapter that I knew I would probably be doing this for the rest of my life.
Can you think of any of your musical inspirations that you come over through the years?
Well, I'm growing up, my mom was a student of, when my mom was a dancer, she was a student of Robert Casimiro and Lynn Alahaini. And growing up, that's what she would listen to religiously. And that's what I was born into listening to religiously. So one of the highest musical inspirations would probably be the Brothers Casimiro. That's what I grew up listening to. And then eventually, as we got a little bit older, then there was this really cool guy that came into the scene named Carlton Keali'i Shell. And that took on a whole nother dimension of Hawaiian chant, dance, and music. Mm-hmm. And for a whole bunch of us young, aspiring, eager kids that we knew hula and music was a part of our core being, he kind of helped us to see and know what we wanted to aspire to be like.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think that's where it's so cool to hear all this come together, right? You have the music, you have the hula. who are one of your, you've had many kumu over the years, especially for hula. Can you share any stories of one or of your past kumu who have helped you, guide you to become kumu hula today?
I've had maybe three very, very distinct styles of learning that I incorporated into our Hālau.
Yeah.
The foundational teachings that our Hālau is based upon comes from my kumu, Auntie May Kamamalu Klein. And it's the gateway to the old. That her teaching was that our connection as young keepers of tradition. She was my gateway to the Wā Kahiko. Right now, I think she's 93, soon to be 94. Yeah. And so for our generation, I speak for myself, my generation, I was 20. I was when she accepted me and she took me under her tutelage. I was 20 years old. And it grounded me as a Kanaka in a very, very fast-changing, crazy world, modern world. It helped to ground me in the ways of our ancestors. So as to not get confused in all of this chaos of a new time. And so whether it be the dances that she was sharing or the stories that she told from the 50s and the 60s, in her younger days, those stories stick. And those stories have helped me to remain true to not just our heritage and our culture, but our lineage and all of the people that paved the way for me to be and stand upon what we do today. And it has grounded me. And that's what my kumu did for me. And she formulated my training with the uniki ceremony. And so that ties you into a commitment. I've had another very, very influential teacher, and her name was Palekaleina Alamatos, who I had the honor of dancing with as a competitive student at the Merry Monarch. And Auntie Paleka, her Hālau was Hula Hālau Okamuela, she's no longer with us, but her protege, Kau'i Kamana'o, has taken on that kuleana of that Hālau. That was perfection. She taught us how to have perfection and how to be able to identify when steps are kapulu, fix it. It looks messy. It doesn't look put together. That combination of hula with that costuming is not too cute. And that comes from a competitive perspective, Nonetheless, you're still elevating a craft. You're still elevating our culture, just from a different point of view. And she had the eye for competitive hula. And that was part of me. That's part of us too, in that respect. And so those two strong women have really made an impact on what we do and what I do today.
And talking about what we're doing today, what I've learned too from Auntie Wendy is that we have the behind the scenes of hula over here, the Four Seasons.
Yes.
Where did that idea come from? Where did that inspiration come from?
Well, we sat down. It's really that just came right out of my brain. So we sat, she said, Kumu. And actually, she came to the Hālau one day and she said, I have this, they've given me this new position. And her brain was spinning because she had been put into this kuleana, a rather new kuleana here on the property at Four Seasons, and things that had not been attempted or even thought to be done. Now she had a little bit of leeway to be able to incorporate more of her hula and culture. And she said, okay, I need to tap your brain. And so I said, okay, well, we can start with what about this idea. And at first it was more of like, oh, we'll let the guests come into our practice. And the way that things were worded, I wasn't really, the guests come into our practice, because you don't really allow outsiders into the Hālau. So she's like, well, we kind of want to let our guests see what we do in Hālau, because it shapes what they see at the outside in the luau and at the, like, they wonder, oh, do they just all know how to dance hula? Or like the lady in the lobby, like, where did she learn that? Where did, like, and so the concept was at that point born. Let's take them inside our Hālau, and we'll show them exactly what we do, what would happen, or what transpires at our Hālau, but we'll do it here on the property. Wow. And they are not supposed to bother us. They just watch, observe, and see what we do, and we just carry on as if we're having a regular practice. But as she being one of the ambassadors of this brand, she talks to them, because even though she's part of the class with us in Hālau, as the guests come, she'll explain to them. She'll go, they don't bother us or me, but she'll say, okay, that's our teacher, and those are my hula brothers and sisters, and this is what they're doing. We're practicing for, this show. And she'll explain to them. So it works out seamlessly, where they're not bothering us, but if they have questions, she'll answer for them. And they know her because of the classes during the daytime. And so they've already established a relationship. That's Auntie Wendy. And, she invited us to come. And so we're going to watch, and she explains what's happening. Awesome. So we could be going into major, like, chanting. And like, they just may be passing by from one point A to point B, lobby bar to the elevator, and they'll just stop and look at us and know that something is, something is happening. They're uttering these words, these Hawaiian words, and during this chanting, and she will explain to them, for them to understand what's going on, and that this is the practice, and it's not a show. We're actually rehearsing for something, and you educate your malihini, you educate your guests, and we're able to just carry on with our rehearsal. How does your
haumana feel about like coming over here?
Well, the funny part is our keiki, we've been doing this for 3 years. Oh, wow. We've been coming up to the property weekly for almost 3 years now. And at first it was difficult, getting used to the drive to Wailea, and also just not really knowing what to expect. Sometimes there's nobody watching us, and sometimes there's a lot of people that just look and stare and come and see. But we found that our kids, they like coming here the most. So the kids, they're like, is it our month to go back to the Four Seasons? Like, not this month. No, not until July. Sorry, you guys are in school. But it has become a weekly thing, and it's fun, and it's beneficial because we know how much it means to Auntie Wendy. And so we kind of back her up with what she has to do.
And I think there's such a gift that you're bringing to the guests, so they can see inside of all the hard work that actually goes on to the hula dancers they see in the lobby, just dancing hula. They get to see the sweat and the
and they also get to hear the yellings when I'm pissed, because believe it or not, these halls have heard me. And when we're in full preparation for something and stuff, I'm like, oops, sorry, auntie. Like, carry on. Go, but it happens because it's, it's practice. And so, during Merry Monarch practices, the girls got some loud voice, flying across the foyer. But, I tried to now, I'm like, I've learned to control myself.
And then that kind of brings us to this past weekend, and I think it was you being there and helping and do Andy and with all the, there was so much going on. I spoke with Daryl earlier too as well, and he was just like, there was so much logistics going on behind the scenes. But again, I think throughout these conversations we've been having, we've been talking about this creating moments and spaces for people to connect with one another, and also to perpetuate the culture, and uplift the lāhui, uplift the guests, uplift this people individually, to make them stand a bit taller, and feel something, even if they don't even understand what's going on. I mentioned that one of the guests kind of was asking me, like, oh, what's going on here? And I kind of, so it was us sharing our culture, and through hula, through chant and everything. And she was like, wow, I never experienced anything like this. But she just said, but it's beautiful to hear the singing and to hear the chanting and seeing the keiki all over her face. But it was that moment that we created, with giving that individual something to take with them.
Right.
And I think that's such a powerful thing that this whole weekend has offered people, whether they're guests, whether they're from the community, are the moments to see their family out on the stage dancing. What has that mean to you, seeing all this come together?
I am a very, very big supporter of inclusivity, and I feel that hula in particular, hula transcends people, time, place. It's something that connects the entire world. I teach in 3 different countries. And so for me, hula has always been the vehicle to bring people together, because anybody can do hula. Anybody can want to partake in hula, and hula is Hawaiian. And so if we offer these opportunities for guests, po'emalihini, kama'aina alike, to come together at a place where everybody feels included and wanted, and share in something Hawaiian. Number one, hula is the perfect vehicle to do that, because hula does not discriminate. Hula is something that you can include in any facet of life, to any geographic, to any group of people, and it will make you feel wanted. It will make you feel needed. And so the culmination of that thought process happened this weekend with Heartbeat of Hula. Because now you have a entity, you have this company that has now invested in an opportunity for our cultural ways and our Hawaiian ways to be implemented in a very sacred space, because we are on a very sacred space here, and we cannot deny that. And so when you're actively covering the space with things that belong there, like hula and chanting, it therefore increases the mana of the place and of the people that now steward this area. And so it just all makes sense to have something like Heartbeat of, hula is the heartbeat, because now we're able to do it. And it's supposed to make everybody feel that word aloha. It's supposed to make people feel that welcome. It's supposed to make the people, no matter where you come from, who you are, if you're from here or you're from Canada or Japan, it's supposed to make you feel that you are appreciated. And that's the whole basis of that aloha theory of welcome. And that is truly Hawaiian to me. And that's what we do. And it was a perfect example this weekend.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because, you know, I brought my ohana with me to experience this. I have three little ones. And I was telling Auntie Wendy that the two boys were, after they saw the show,
Right.
you know, they're going down the hall trying to dance hula. You know, they're just like, and I was like, okay, I think it's time. You know, like I think it's, because they're just in awe of everything they saw and everything they heard too, the chanting.
Right. Yeah.
My 5-year-old Micah, when he heard the chanting, he just looked at me with big eyes, and he just knew something woke up in him. You know, and I think that's something that, as you mentioned, hula does that to you.
Right.
You know, hula wakes something up inside you that makes you kind of think a little bit, like, okay, what is that feeling? What is that trying to tell me? And even if you're not from the islands, you know, it's still a good moment to experience.
Right.
Because maybe it's not about hula, maybe it's just about you. You know, like what is that piece of you that's waking up because of what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and what you're feeling, you know.
Right.
You know, and I think the Hula's the Heartbeat was such a magical moment because you had 5 halau in this space, and it was for the community. It's complimentary.
Yeah.
You know, and it was amazing to see families from all over Maui coming over here because you just wanted to experience those moments.
Yes.
Talk about, and also to see what the keiki are doing, or what their relatives or their family are up to during those practices. You know, like, okay, what's happening? What are you? All this time and investment, because you know, as you know full-heartedly that there's a lot of time and investment and energy that goes into hula when you bring hula into part of your life. Yeah. So for a lot of the families who don't see all that, they kind of wonder, okay, well, what is this all about? But then last night was a great presentation of that, you know, and everybody felt it. So what did you feel last night, seeing everything come together?
Well, you know, it's funny because, so I have a very great respect. There's several, I guess they would be called execs here, but there's a couple of them that I see and I've, you know, met with regularly throughout the 3 years that we've been, you know, associated with Four Seasons. And to see them in the audience with folks like Mark Simon, he doesn't really have when you see him, his demeanor doesn't always necessarily look happy, but his smile was ear to ear in the seat, you know, with his wife. And it was so nice to just see them enjoying themselves. And, you know, there's some cases where you have, you know, bosses that don't even show up for, you know, things. And to see all 3 managers, I think James is another one that we work with, and I talk to a lot, and Lani Kai, and to see them just smiling, sitting there with their family, you know, like, it means something to us, because that means that you know, they're investing in us, but at the same time, the return is that they are getting enjoyment. Yeah. Going out on a limb to you know, help us do what we do too here. Yeah. So it was just really nice to see everyone taking advantage of this warm, fuzzy feeling called aloha. Yeah. Like everybody was in it for the enjoyment, the pure enjoyment of the night, you know, or the event. And that's what, like I was talking about, the craziness of life. These times, they make life and all of the other stuff that we go through in life, they make it worthwhile. Yeah. These moments that we share, and seeing the happiness that people were receiving from the hula and the singing and all of the camaraderie and the enjoyment that It was really nice,
Yeah.
really nice.
You know, for me, I'm always a big believer of the importance of creating space for people to help them create space within, you know, for them to open up a little bit more. Because as you said, the craziness of life can be burdensome, you know. But allowing people to have those, go into those spaces where they feel welcomed, where they feel at home, even though they're not even own a home, but just the energy within there, the mana that's being shared in that space, makes them be able to breathe a little bit more, breathe a bit deeper, open up their chest a bit more, and really connect with themselves, you know. And I think hula, for one, allows you to do that. And I think that's why it's as many of the haumana of hula feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, when they're chanting or when they're dancing or even when they're just walking through life, they can always go back to hula as this anchor, you know? And so for you as a kumu hula, I think that's such a big kuleana, as you know. How do you carry on that kuleana with as a kumu hula to make sure that you are perpetuating the culture and allowing these haumana to learn and grow along?
Well, you know, our school is a school of ceremonial graduation rites, and so the aim for a student when they enter at a very young age, it's 3-4 years old, I'm already observing whether or not that child is going to go all the way. And we use the traditional word uniki, or rite of passage into another level. And so we have got our school on our 20th anniversary. My kumu thought that it was time that we have our first graduation, which we did. And so Auntie Wendy is one of the graduates that she graduated as a ho'opa'a. And so after many years, the student is assessed their skill level of what they've learned, what they retain, and if I think that they are going to preserve these teachings that my kumu gave me and her kumu gave her. And so we had 3 graduates that became kumu under my teaching, and with the validation of my kumu, because that's important that an elder be there to justify and to approve this process. And so what we do day in and day out, it's not necessarily performance says, or it's who has committed their time and their loyalty and their dedication day in, week in, week out to hula as a lifestyle. And even, you know, we enter competitions not for necessarily the win. We enter competitions, number one, because it elevates our physical and technical skill as dancers, because you gotta in a competitive setting. And so, and I incorporate that into all of the traditional ways. When you do traditional hula, we're not necessarily asking for perfection as much as we are asking for understanding and emotion. When you take it on a competitive level, you're now therefore hoping that they already achieved the emotional and the underlining kauna of what we do, of you know, mele and oli. Then you gotta incorporate all of the technicalities of hula. And so I think I've grown to have a well-balanced combination of both, that the students now see, they live the daily in hula, but they also see end goals. One end goal being graduation as uniki. Wow, I've been coming to hula religiously for 11 years now. Maybe Kumu is thinking of having something for, you know, like it's there. It's not expected, but there are goals to shoot for.
Right.
And the kuleana, my kuleana, therefore lies in my ability to keep the student interested, keep the student wanting and thirsting for more ike and for more of the no'eau and all of the ike kupuna that have been given to us. And hopefully, it's my hope that they stick it out long enough to one day aspire to become a kumuhula. I've always wanted little mini-me's running around. I don't look it, but I'm going to be 50 pretty soon. Nah. And so I can't be doing, I want my legacy to be planted into the younger generation to want to do what I do.
Yeah.
Or perhaps take over what the legacy that I'm working to build in these years. And I want to have a bunch of kumu that I can say are from our tree.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And so to implement that into people's lives and make it a regular thing, that's how I assure that I am maintaining the integrity of not just hula, but I'm maintaining the integrity of the teachings that come from my teacher and their thought processes. And to make sure that it's maintained in a Hawaiian way, because it's different. You can do hula. Everybody can do hula. You can be a culture. You can be a language. An olelo person. You can be a meako kanipila. You can be a musician. But it's the Hawaiianness and the way that you conduct yourself that authenticates these processes. These things are Hawaiian. And so you have to carry it out with that Kanaka frame of mind. Even if you're not Kanaka, it's the hope that you were taught by one, or you were shared the insides, that na'au, to know the difference. Because when you know the difference and you feel it, how would you say, there's a pale, you're protected, and it's legit, and it's good, and you're pono, and nothing will come to break that authenticity. And it's just a feeling when you know things are right or things are not right. And sometimes they're unspoken too. But I think that when you're doing something anyway that's righteous, and when you're doing something that's pono, and when your ultimate goal is for the well-being of somebody else, like in this case, my haumana are always my priority, and their well-being, and what they're being fed, not necessarily physically through their, what they're being fed through their eyes, through their ears. All of these things have to be, nourishing to their body as hula people. And so that kind of well-being comes from a Hawaiian thought process. Because I think that the goal of our kupuna was always to, ola ka'aina, kahekawai, make sure that the land has always been taken care of, as we are the stewards, and the water is always flowing, because the water gives us life. And when those things don't happen and they don't exist, then at some point along the kahawai from, some point something went wrong. At some point that righteous did not happen. And that's how I try to run my halau. So lots of times we got to weed out, because the weeds and the invasive thoughts and the agendas and the invasive plantings that will hinder growth of the lush things that need to happen in halau. They don't when it's overgrown.
I hear you. And it goes for everybody can connect with that too, right? Because it all happens within us as well. You know, like Hawaii, we have weeds that grow within us. Sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, in Kuma, you know, one of the things that I really appreciated this whole weekend was the fact that everyone was just having a good time. There's so much smiling, you know, and I saw you smiling a lot too. You know, dancing when Wailea was singing, and you came up to that. I mean, that was like,
she stole the show.
I know, yeah. You know, that moment, I was just telling to Wendy over here, I was just like, you know, that moment, you'll never get that moment. That was just such a special moment right there on the stage that happened, and everyone in the room knew it.
Yeah.
But it was just, I really enjoyed watching it, you know, and it was, and I was telling Wailea, I messaged her later, so, you know, every single time you sing, I gotta cry. For some reason, you get me, you know, and it doesn't happen very often, but for some reason, when you do, it happens, you know. And she just, you know, of course, just says,
laugh it off at, you know.
But it was really something. And I think every single night here at the Four Seasons and all the Festivals of Aloha, it just brought those feelings for everybody, I think, you know. Just for me, when I'm going to spaces, I just like to be the observer, you know, just kind of seeing what's going on, feel the energy within the room, and like be like the fly on the wall. Right. And all I saw was just pride, you know, people smiling, a lot of minawaka going around, and just that energy of feeling proud of who they were, you know, not as individuals. So I think for everything that happened with coming together with all the logistics and all the chaos that kind of goes on behind the scenes that many people don't see. With the fact that you yourself, Kumu, as well, Auntie Wendy and Daryl, you know, and the rest of the team here at Four Seasons, they did an amazing job. That I think people don't realize how much goes into it, but people felt it. So I just want to say mahalo for that. For all the hard work that you all put on behind the scenes, because without all those hard work, you know, we don't get to appreciate this presentation of the culture. So big mahalo.
Mahalo.
You know, one of the final things is, you know, I always try to ask my guests, you know, when we talk stars, is what is one thing that helps you listen to your na'au? You know, where do you go and how do you create space for yourself to take care of yourself?
Well, you know, it's funny story is that in the past year, well, I just a year ago, I was going through some major health issues, you know, and the doctor is like, you know, you really gotta change your lifestyle, your eating habits, and all of these things. And it sat in my na'au for a while, because they used the word, like, you know, like if you don't do something about it, you know, you might not be here very much longer. And so it really, I think when something is telling you deep down inside that you need to fix yourself, maybe everything else is gonna get fixed as well. And so I have been on this health journey for the last 8 months, and with this new lifestyle of malama, taking care of, you know, because this is our temple, it's our one and only temple that we have. And spiritually, if you're not intact, things, you know, the temple starts to fall apart. So a lot of what I do internally through meditation and through, you know, Hula and even soul searching deep in the na'au, I found that when I feel something is not right, okay, so let's turn it inside out and identify the problem that might be happening in whatever it is, and seek the solutions to correct it until your gut feels, you know, good. Until you feel that your na'au doesn't feel all hui kau and all just jumbled. things flow so much more easier. And it has trickled, fixing myself has trickled into every aspect of my life. So now everything flows so much easier. Everything falls into place much better. The daily stresses of life, because Kumu, we're just crazy. You gotta be a little crazy, quirky, and just missing a few screws to do what we do. I don't know how to explain it, because your normal hula person, your normal human being, I don't think they'll be able to handle what Kumu Hula do. And it takes a toll on our bodies and our minds. And it also ages us crazy. So just last year, people was calling me, I went from the uncle, and oh, is that your grandpa? And then now I get brother again.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so taking care of yourself really is important.
Yeah.
As this is your one kino you have. So I'll take brother over uncle anytime. And so if that's what it takes to, and I totally forgot what the original question was, but how do you maintain this what you're feeling inside the na'au to keep things, like I said, if your intentions is good, if your intentions is pure, and the aloha that you have deep down inside is real, you feel that, know that, other people feel that, and other people are drawn to you to want to be a part of that synergy, if you will. It's legit. It's a real thing. When your aloha is real, people are drawn to you. And I've experienced that in my life, that people are drawn to me because I don't have ill intentions. I try to give whatever I have and share what I can. And it speaks volumes when I'm honored to say that, with 200 something students in our Hālau, it's a reflection of what I'm trying to instill in people, that they want to feel that way. They want to be like that.
Yeah.
They don't want to be pilau, or they don't. It's not about just competing and winning trophies. It's how these children, these kupuna, and their families feel good about what they do, that their kids or their keiki go to a halau that makes them feel wanted, included, and they're growing. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal, to enrich our lives. Our time on this earth is short, but if you're infiltrated with only good things, and if you're being fed what is needed to thrive on this earth while we're here, then we're on the right va'a. We're on the right canoe. We're going in the right direction. But if there's all the other stuff, because there's the heva and there's the jealousy, and in a time that everybody wants attention, everybody wants money and attention and clout. And sad to say, not to go off the subject, but sad to say, our own people have become victim to that norm. The power, the money. And I am not on that path.
Yeah.
So we just malama. I malama what comes to be to be fed. I take care of what I need to, and our village. This is important that you identify that when you have a village that needs to be fed, you cannot worry about what the rest of the world is doing. You got to malama your own village first. Because then that makes the contribution of your village to the bigger picture is okay. Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of what this weekend really brought here, that you're taking care of the individuals who are here during this Festival of Aloha.
Yeah.
You're taking care of whoever felt like they wanted to come into this village. And experience this, and they were taken care of, you know. And they had those moments and these lessons they learned, and talking to some of the kupuna who are doing these activities at Ohe Kapala, and you know, they were able to be in those areas where they were taken care of.
Right.
You know, one last question, Kumu, because I just want to be mindful of your time and energy. I know you get plenty going on.
Today's a pool day. I'm good.
I want to make sure you get to the pool today too.
I get plenty time.
But we talked about aloha earlier. You know, can you just share, what does aloha mean to you?
Well, aloha, there is, number one, the basis of aloha, that stems from our kupuna. It's a way, a mannerism. It's a way of treating people and being treated, and it's a two-way street. Aloha is not just a hello. Aloha is not just a goodbye. Aloha is that satisfaction in your na'au, in the gut, that makes you feel, number one, relaxed, comfortable, and at peace, in an equilibrium with the world around you, and how you are maintaining a harmonious balance. That's aloha to me. Like when you don't have feelings of anger, jealousy, or hate, or when you are at peace, and when you are feel appreciated, loved, and respected. Those are three good descriptive feelings that you're supposed to achieve when you use that word aloha. And for our po'e malihini and for visitors that just know aloha as a hi or a goodbye, depending on, you know, the circumstance, for those that come and go regularly, you know, to visit our islands regularly, the hi and the goodbye is never ending. It's a cycle. It's an ahui ho, because it's that aloha that keeps on bringing them back. You know, then that speaks for people that are visitors to our land. But the aloha that we nurture as dwellers of this place, the aloha is our ability to peacefully coincide with the aina, you know, and spiritually feel connected to things seen and unseen, you know, and respect that too. And the power that you gain from actively using aloha is self-gratification, and also the enrichment of other people's lives. You know.
Mahalo Kumu for sharing that.
Thank you.
And I hope you felt the aloha in here that I had.
Oh yeah.
And you know, all the work that you've done and you continue to do with all the amazing stuff that you've been doing with the hula, your singing, composing, the haumana and everything. So just want to say mahalo for your time and energy.
Thank you. Mahalo. Mahalo nui.
Ahui ho.
Ahui ho. Mahalo.